Tomorrow marks the 70th anniversary of Victory in Japan Day, the moment World War II finally came to an end. The war in Europe had been over for several months and Britain was starting to be rebuilt.
But many of our soldiers were still fighting in the Far East and some were enduring horrific conditions as Japanese prisoners of war. Olivia Richwald has been speaking to 3 Yorkshire veterans about their memories.
These were the scenes in London as Britain marked the end of the Second World War. The war in Europe had finished 3 months earlier, but fighting had continued in the Far East. Then, on August the 15th, Japan surrendered. For Gordon Smith, it was the end of 3 years of hell. He'd been captured by the Japanese and forced to work in a coal mine. He was badly treated and barely fed.
I was under 7 stone when they weighed me in Nagasaki. Every time you passed them, if you didn't bow to them, you got to either hit with a fist or hit with a rifle butt. It comes back to me. Everything that's happened to me comes back, and I'm laid awake. It's all relaying it over and over again in your mind.
Gordon's camp was near Hiroshima. He'd watched the atom bomb being dropped. A few days later, his Japanese captors abandoned their posts and he was finally free.
The commanding officer, he told us that the war was over and he'll be all taken home as soon as possible. You couldn't believe it, you'd been released.
Barbara Wetherill from Selby served as a driver during the war. She recalls seeing prisoners of war like Gordon coming home from Japan.
They didn't look like men anymore. And they were our lads. They'd been prisoners for so long, I think they didn't know really where they were or what they were doing. They just shambled along.
Barbara was working in Scotland when Japan surrendered. She says instead of wild celebrations, there was uncertainty.
It had come all of a sudden, somehow. Well, we knew it was coming, and yet it just arrived one day, and there it was. The war was over. And nobody was quite sure how much longer they were going to be in the services, what they were going to do when they came out. You know, it was a bit of a troubled time in some ways.
Jim Sheader was in a secret location in Burma when the war finally came to an end. He was a fisherman from Scarborough who'd been trained to decipher Japanese Morse code.
I can't remember any celebrations really. We might have had an extra bottle of beer or something like that, but I can't remember any wild celebrations.
The war ended on August the 15th, but Jim didn't get home to Yorkshire until Christmas.
When I came back out of the service, I immediately, I should have had 3 months leave, but I think I had about a month, and then I went back to sea, I went back fishing. I had no hesitation, going back fishing, that's all I wanted to do.
70 years on from scenes like this, and Jim and Gordon are among a dwindling number of veterans who served in the Far East. Tomorrow they'll be at a reception in London hosted by the Royal British Legion. It'll be a chance to commemorate and a chance to celebrate the 7 decades of freedom. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North.
Some extraordinary memories there.
Really moving stories, weren't they?
Let's move on now to why Thursday